So when I was 16 years old, I started smoking weed. Now, the first time I got high it was enjoyable. Like I enjoyed that first high. It was exciting. It was a rush. However, as I slowly kept smoking, I would smoke every day. Like I would use my lunch money from school that my mom gave me to smoke. And the thing was, I knew I shouldn't have been smoking, and I knew I shouldn't have been smoking because I was paranoid. Like I would hear voices every time I would smoke. The only time I wouldn't hear voices is when I was at school, and that's because I don't know, like I always got everything done correctly. Like I was get good grades when I was high and shit. So it was funny. But other than that, like outside of it, if I was hanging out with my boys or hanging out with my people or smoking in the car, wherever I was smoking, like I'd be paranoid as hell. And it was crazy. And it made me stop. Like I did this for 2 years until I was like 18. And then I remember smoking on September 11th, 2002, like 1 year after the World Trade Center situation that happened. And I remember smoking some purple haze in the car with a couple of my peoples and my family, whatever. And I remember being at my grandparents' house. They was sitting in her yard and they was sitting on the porch talking. And I just kept hearing them talk about me. I'm like, yo, y'all hear them talking about me? And they like, nobody ain't talking about you. And I'm like, yo, they talking about me. So like I was annoyed. Like I was really paranoid. I was scared, you know what I mean? And I had to quit. Cause I remember at that night I pulled a knife out on one of my family members also, which wild out. And I was like, after that, I was like, yo, yeah, I definitely got to quit smoking. And that is to understand that. So the moral of this story is me telling you is this, that every thought that you have is a choice. Every thought that you have is a choice. The thing is, we let our thoughts control us. We don't really examine our thoughts. We don't understand them. And when you say, what do you mean by that? What we got to first do is we got to unpack these thoughts. We got to unpack them one by one. We got to understand what is it that's going on in my mind that have me constantly triggered when I think about this and keeps me going to a rabbit hole. And once you unpack that thought, you have to sit in it. You have to sit in that thought and examine it. Because if you don't examine it, all it's going to do is come back. And you're going to still have the same thought. But when you examine it and you understand what happened and you get some healing from it, you let it go. You let it go. You don't hold on to it, because when you hold on to something, then it becomes numbing. Think about a glass. If you hold a glass out like this and you hold it for 5 minutes, what's going to happen? Your arm is going to start getting tired. Hold it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Your arm's going to start getting numb. Your arm's going to start hurting. The thing is, what we do is we hold on to stuff so long that it start numbing us. That is not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to understand that, okay, this situation has happened. So what do I need to learn from this situation? Not why should I stay angry or I am going to stay angry. We have to understand, what can I learn from this situation that can help me? And in the process of helping me, I can help somebody else so they won't have to go through the same situation. See, paranoia affected me for a long time. But I had to understand that, first of all, I had to unpack that. I had to understand what was going on in my life. Why was I paranoid? And what I understood is I was paranoid because of the insecurities that I had within myself. Because everybody else around me was doing certain things, and they was living a certain life that maybe, or not even maybe, that I wasn't acclimated to. I didn't have those luxuries, or I didn't fortitude myself the advantage to do certain things. So I was a paranoid about it. How did I understand my paranoia? How did I control it? First, I had to stop smoking. I had to first stop smoking, and then once I stopped smoking, I separated myself from those people. Yes, I had to separate myself, because if I stayed around that environment, I would have kept doing the same thing over and over again. So by separating myself from that environment, it helped me heal myself. How else did I do it? Even though I didn't know what I was doing, but I remember moving when I first moved to New York. What I started doing was I was reading this book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And in the book, it was telling me to breathe and count. Breathe and count and be present. I was meditating at that point in time, and I didn't even understand that I was meditating, but I was meditating early on, understanding how to control my mind. And I started reading. My uncle had this library in his home that he had so many books, and I would just start reading. I remember reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I remember reading The Message to a Black Man. I remember reading the the 48 Laws of Power. It was so many different books that I was reading that I was using to help my mind to help my mind get stronger, that I started feeling more comfortable. I wasn't 100% there yet, but I started feeling more comfortable with myself. And as I kept learning and I kept being around different environments and exposing myself to different things, I began to become and understand who I wanted to be, not who everybody else wanted me to be, because at that point in time, I was living for everybody else. I felt that my life wasn't my life because I had to do these things because my parents wanted me to do it, or society felt like I should do it this way. But I had to understand that it's not what society wants, it's what you want. It's what you become that is most important. It's not what people believe you come. Like, people might think success is a lot of money, and don't get me wrong, I advocate for having money and making money. But success is not always about having money. Success is about knowing who you are at the end of it, being true to yourself, doing what you want to do, and not having someone to tell you that you can and cannot do it. Having your own thought process and looking within yourself and knowing that at each step you're learning something. Even though you might fall and make mistakes, that you're learning in the process of it. And that's the goal. The goal is to move forward, not to stagnate and move backwards. Because what you don't grow through, you will go through over and over again. So I say, unpack these situations. Because your thoughts, the thoughts that you have is a choice. You choose to have these thoughts. I remember J. Cole saying, you got to switch your thoughts up like the stations on the radio. You have to. You have to put something else in your mind, because your words become your world, and the words that you hear and the words that you take in become acclimated to you. You start believing those things. So you have to create a positive affirmation within your life to say that you're able to do that. Manifest these things in your life, and they do come to existence. But you have to have the mental mindset to make them come to existence. Because even the bad things that happen in your life and the thoughts that you have around them, those things was created because of your thoughts. You have to understand that. And once you understand that, you're able to go to a different frequency, and you're able to understand a different vibration of how you're thinking has created the world that you see outside. And I'm going to sign off with that. Cash. Constantly achieving successful habits every day. You heard? You already know. Can't spell Donnell without the O-N-E. Always have been, always will be. The chosen one. Peace.